Welcome to the 10-Minute Treasure. My name is Jeff Pospisil. Have you ever been disappointed with your church's budget report? Or maybe you call it budget to actual report. And I would guess that if you put in a lot of work to create an accurate budget, and then all of a sudden you see the reports that come out, and it's clear that the budget is just being divided by 12, and assuming that 1/12 of your income comes in each month and 1/12 of your expenses come in each month, and you just know that's not realistic. That's not working. Well, I faced that in the churches that I served, and I wanted to fix that. And I'll show you how I fixed it, and maybe it'll work for you. So let's go ahead and look at a typical budget report. And here you can see this is one where I just divided the budget by 12. And it's through October, so it's 10/12 of the annual budget. And when I look through it, you can see that here's the budget, here's the expense actuals, and then here's the difference. And I just show it as a percentage, but you can see that what I'm showing now is 80%, is that we received 80%, although we are at a little over 100% for interest. And then you look at the expenses. Most of these payroll ones, they're at 100% because those are very regular. But there are other ones that are way under or maybe way over. And those are ones that maybe are a little bit more seasonal. I mean, one of the ones that I think of as seasonal is gas and electric, but especially when you look at landscaping, snow removal, I don't imagine we do much snow removal in July or much landscaping, which is mowing. We don't do a lot of that in December. And you can keep scrolling down and scrolling down. And one of the most important things is then when you look at the total expenses budgeted versus what was actually happening, and we're at 87.2%. So our income was at 80%, our expenses were at 87%. So that would, if I was looking at this, I would be nervous. So, but let's look at it if you actually try to split it out more based on what are the typical patterns for your church. So here is one where I actually went through the work of trying to figure out what the pattern for a church might be. So first of all, I looked at the giving, and there's usually a lull in the summer, and then it picks up later on, and especially December and November are bigger months. So I have them at bringing in 97% of their offering. So they're a little behind, but not terribly, not like they were before. So 97% versus that 80%, knowing that this church normally brings in almost a double month in December. And then when you look at our expenses, you could see that they're a little under. And some of that might be, again, if you were looking at 1/12 and you thought, oh, we're way overspending our income, we need to cut expenses. That might be that downward pressure, not factoring in that most of our income, or a large percentage of our income, comes in those final months. But anyway, as you flow through it, then you can see more specifically if we are over budget versus what we are planned on. But our total expenses, we look at still about 87% is where we're at, coincidentally enough. But our difference is that we are actually doing much better than expected. We had thought we'd be about $63,000 behind at this time. Instead, we are only $25,000 behind, which doesn't sound great, but it's a world of difference when you were planning on being down by 60,000 versus if you just found yourself down by 25,000. Anyway, let's go ahead and look at how I actually came up with these numbers. So I'm going to show you my spreadsheet that I created almost 20 years ago. It's trend analysis, and I will make this available in the description, a link to download it. And I have updated it over the last 20 years. The last time I updated it was in 2017, as you can see by that date. And there are instructions on the side. So there are instructions on how to set it up, how to use it. And for this first sheet of that spreadsheet, the only number you change here is this one, that off-colored one. I have February 28th, 2017. But if I want to run it for a different date, I can maybe put in September 30, 2016, and everything updates. So it updates the whole report, updates every number here. The most important report number to watch on this, by the way, is the yellow one, which happens, that's our year-end projection, and that becomes more and more accurate as the year goes on. So usually by August, I could accurately project the income within 2 to 3%. It also fills in then this monthly detail, so you can see a breakdown of how we did each month to see if there's one month or a couple months that are way off versus what we project. And then there's also a nice graph. I really like graphs, so I threw this in there for those other people that might like graphs. So this would be an easy one to turn into a PDF or print it out and give to your finance committee or your leadership. Let's go ahead and go to the data behind this. And this is our giving data. So I did throw in some historical data into here. And I break it down. By the way, the only number you have to change on this one for the date is that first one, and it's every single Sunday then. So that just shows every single Sunday from whatever first date you choose on to the end. And I broke it down to plate offering, electronic, and other, which is just other unrestricted offering. So it could be endowment income, it could be interest, it could be anything like that. And then if we scroll on down, what you would normally do is every week or maybe every month, you would add the new data in. So whatever we had for new offerings from the plate, whatever we had for new electronic, and whatever we had for anything that was other, you would go ahead and add that in there. And I do have enough columns set up so that you can go for an additional 10 years is where I'm at. So if you go all the way to the end, you can see this says 2027, but of course you saw that I'm at 17. So anyway, there's enough data for 10 years of using this spreadsheet. All right, let's go ahead and look at the budget then. So on the budget, you would, whatever was approved by the charge conference or the board, you would include that. So whatever the initial one was. And then I also make a spot for just in case you adjust that budget. So when you're looking at it, maybe giving is better or worse than expected. Usually it's worse. That's when we adjust the budget. That's what you would do. And I have more instructions here as well. So this is just a little guide, but you enter that budget in and then it will allocate the budget for you. So then this is what you would use then when you want to enter in your budget into whatever your accounting system is. So what I would do is I would look at that budgeted monthly and that details. I would use that to enter it right into QuickBooks or Church Windows or whatever system you're using. Enter those numbers into your budget for each month. Then when you're looking at the budget for expenses, what I find the most helpful report myself personally is if you're using QuickBooks, it's the monthly P&L, monthly profit and loss. But there's other ones too. They might call it the budget worksheet report. I've seen that. But you want something that shows you the expenses every single month, because then you can do that for a couple of years and then you can start looking for patterns. And this does take a little bit of work, but I think it's worth it. So there's going to be a number of them where there's really no pattern, and you can do 1/12 there. But there are other ones that, yeah, there probably is a pattern. There's probably a pattern to utilities. There might be a pattern to buildings and grounds. So maybe some churches might have a time when, hey, this is where we hit our big projects. We hit it right in the summer when we have more of the facility available to us to do actual work. Here I have an odd one. Is that when we normally do equipment purchases, or is that an oddity? So those are the things that you think about. And again, especially the utilities, especially like the insurance, which here is also quarterly is what it looks like. Budget those as accurately as you can and just go line by line. It'll take some time, but it'll make your reports that much better. that brings us to the end, and I hope this has been helpful. I really like that spreadsheet, so hopefully you find it to be a good one for your own uses as well. And by the way, feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment. I always appreciate that. And support Dakota Wesleyan University. They're a great place. Send them your kids, send them your donations, send them your prayers, everything like that. And then my regular website is jctaccounting.com. All right, God bless you till next time.